I forgot to bring bread.
Bread.
We're talking about lunches, right?
It's a really long intro. Why is that intro so long?
I don't know. I like the music. All right, Emery. So it's been a great year for space. What are we talking about this now?
There were a total of 19 launches in 2017.
That's a lot.
That is a fair amount of launches. There will probably be more next year. And most of those were launches by SpaceX's Falcon 9 rocket. Other players included, second most would be United Launch Alliance's Atlas V. There was one United Launch Alliance Delta IV launch, and the first ever orbital ATK Minotaur launch.
You mean like the bull from
Nope.
Greek mythology?
Nope, I mean a rocket. But sure. In January, we had the launch of an Atlas V rocket from Cape Canaveral Air Force Station. That was the first launch of the year. That included a satellite designed to detect ballistic missile launches from around the world. As you might imagine, that is kind of an interesting thing, considering recent world events.
We're watching North Korea, aren't we?
For obvious reasons.
Because somebody's going to go ballistic.
Can't believe I'm doing this. In March, we probably had the biggest launch of the year. The launch of SpaceX's Falcon 9 rocket with the SES-10 satellite. Just a commercial communication satellite, run-of-the-mill, nothing fancy, but the rocket was the first ever time that SpaceX launched and landed a rocket that had been flown before.
So this is basically Elon Musk's version of recycling.
Yes.
Okay.
Or as he would say, why would you throw away a perfectly good airplane after one flight? That would make each ticket incredibly expensive, so you should reuse rockets as well.
Yeah, that's why he's Elon Musk.
Yeah, and that's why we're here. So yes, the SES-10 launch on March 30th was the first ever launch of a previously flown rocket that landed on the Of Course I Still Love You.
Oh, I love you too.
Drone ship in the Atlantic Ocean. A few minutes after launch, came back to Port Canaveral.
Emery and I have worked together a very long time. Too long.
In May, SpaceX had another milestone, its first ever launch of a classified National Reconnaissance Office satellite. They don't really say what these satellites do or what they're about.
In addition to spying on North Korea, we're also spying on
Ourselves. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, basically.
Those emails aren't protected.
Yes. Well, this National Reconnaissance Office, I think, focuses more on imagery of the Earth, whereas
They don't tell you what it's for. You don't know what it's for.
this is true. And that was SpaceX's first ever launch of a national security satellite, which is a lucrative field to be in. In August, we saw the first ever launch of a Minotaur 4 rocket. That's built by Orbital ATK.
Again, Greek mythology. It's half bull, half man.
Half full rocket is what it is. 78 feet tall, so about 150 feet shorter than your average rocket that launches from the Space Coast. And that took an Air Force payload to orbit, but still kind of cool. First time a rocket, a Minotaur rocket ever launched from the Space Coast. Finally, just this month in December, we had SpaceX's 13th launch to the International Space Station, and that one was pretty fun. That had, it sounds run-of-the-mill, and essentially it is. It had science payloads, food, water, supplies. As you might imagine, NASA could neither confirm nor deny that there were Christmas presents on board.
Aw, it's like Santa.
Right, except that Santa is a Dragon spacecraft with 4,800 pounds of stuff, including live mice. The interesting thing about that mission was it was the most reused SpaceX has ever flown. The booster was previously flown, which is a first for NASA as well, and the Dragon spacecraft was also previously flown. So the only new part of that rocket was the second stage, the the second rocket in the rocket, if you will, that takes the Dragon spacecraft to a higher orbit.
And the presents.
And the presents.
Unless they bought them on eBay.
Wait, what?
eBay's like America's garage sale, right?
Yeah, but...
So, maybe they
Oh,
weren't new.
previously used eBay. Got it, right. Good God. And finally, there was a copy of the new Star Wars on the Dragon.
Have you seen it yet?
I have not.
So good. No spoilers. I won't. No, because Tim Walters is still in the station with us, and
I've not seen it.
Long space flight. If I gave some spoilers away, and Tim wasn't able to see it,
It would be an extended coast phase.
Show you I will.
Then they see. There you go. So, Emre, if I'm not mistaken, one of the payloads this year had like a frozen delicious treat on it. Did it
Oh,
not?
yes. A launch, SpaceX launch to the International Space Station had ice cream this year.
Now, but this was like the real stuff, not like that cardboard freeze-dried stuff that they try and sell you.
No, it was straight up ice cream.
Not Dippin' Dots.
Nope.
That never went into space, but they try and sell you that it always went into space, like it's the space ice cream. Ain't no Dippin' Dots in space. You also had one of the biggest stories that you had this year was like
The robot.
yeah,
Ah,
on the drone ship.
yes.
All right, so is this like a precursor to Wall-E?
No.
You know I like Wall-E, right? Wall-E.
This is not remotely close to Wall-E.
Yeah.
This is a robot that after the Falcon 9 rocket lands on the a drone ship, which is about the ratio proportions of this table, it comes out one of the sides and it secures the rocket to the deck, which makes it safer for the guys who have to go out there.
So like clamps it down.
Yeah.
Not going anywhere.
Right.
Rough seas, it could still land.
Right.
Maybe.
Whereas before, obviously, it saves time and it's safer. Before, if there were rough seas, the guys that would normally hop onto the drone ship and secure the rocket to the deck would have to wait for the rough seas to die down. But now you have a robot that can save time, maybe money, maybe make launches faster.
All right, so do we want to talk about anything else?
Were we going to make fun of the intro? Well, we did make fun of the intro.
We did make fun of the intro. He made fun of my intro.
What about the outro? Is there an outro?
There's not an outro.
Can it be the same as the intro?
It could be. I mean, we could have this playing behind the outro.
Oh.
And just kind of fade to black.